Have you ever prayed and heard nothing back? No sign, no voice, no answer, only silence. The wind howled across the wilderness, dragging dust across a broken land where nothing seemed to live anymore. And in the middle of that emptiness stood a man, alone. His name was Eliab, not a king like David, not a prophet like Elijah, just a man with questions and a heart that refused to stop believing. For 12 years, he prayed, not once, not occasionally, but every single day, morning and night. He built an altar from broken stones, not perfect stones, but cracked ones. Each stone carried a story, a prayer that felt unanswered, a cry that seemed ignored, a hope that never came to life. One stone for the child that never came, another for the harvest that failed again and again, another for the sickness that refused to leave. And yet, every day he returned, lighting the fire, calling on a God who seemed silent. Days turned into months, months turned into years, and still nothing, no voice, no sign, no answer. But Eliab kept showing up, even when it hurt, even when it made no sense, even when heaven felt closed, because somewhere deep inside, he believed that silence was not the end. Until one night, everything changed. The sky was darker than usual. No stars, no moon, just a heavy, suffocating silence. Eliab stood before the altar, his hands shaking, his eyes tired, his heart exhausted. And for the first time in 12 years, he didn't come with faith. He came with frustration. "Where are you?" His voice tore through the night. "I have given you everything. My time, my tears, my sacrifice. And still, you say nothing." The fire flickered, weak, unstable. Then suddenly, it went out. For the first time in 12 years, the altar was cold.
Welcome to High Voice, a place where the greatest stories ever told come to life. Here on High Voice, we bring these epic Bible stories to life.
Cinematic storytelling, powerful visuals, and unforgettable lessons of faith, courage, and God's power.
Every video will take you deep into the most dramatic events of Scripture.
The miracles, the battles, the prophets, and the promises. If you love inspiring Bible stories, powerful faith moments, and breathtaking biblical history, then you are in the right place.
So subscribe to High Voice, turn on the notification bell,
And join us as we explore the most powerful stories ever written.
because the Bible is not just history, it is a story that still speaks today.
Eliab stared at it, frozen, empty. Something inside him broke. Slowly, he stood up, tears falling silently. "This is the last time," he whispered. He turned his back on the altar, on the prayers, on the waiting, and began to walk away. Then, a voice, "Eliab." He stopped. The wind disappeared. The air stood still. Time itself seemed to pause. Eliab, not loud, not thunder, not fire, but a whisper that carried more power than a storm. "Who is there?" he whispered, and the voice replied, "You built an altar for answers, but I was building you for endurance." Eliab's heart began to pound. Tears filled his eyes again. "I waited for your voice," he said, "and I waited for your trust." In that moment, the altar behind him ignited. But this was no ordinary fire. It burned with a golden light, radiant, alive, holy, and the stones, the broken stones, began to glow. Every single one, every prayer, every tear, every moment of waiting, none of it was wasted. "You thought I was silent," the voice said, But I was speaking in your waiting. I was shaping strength where you felt weakness. I was building faith where you felt abandoned. Eliab fell to his knees, not in anger, not in frustration, but in surrender, because finally he understood God's silence is not absence, it is construction. If you are in a season where heaven feels quiet, don't walk away, because the altar you think is empty may be full, and the God you think is silent may be doing his greatest work in the unseen.